Hey guys, Redbeard here. Gonna do something a little bit different tonight, just a quick little video. Had a buddy call me up and ask me some questions about my steering setup. So I thought, it's something I've spent a lot of time on through the years, different steering setups, different fluids, just trying to get ahead of it, right? Anyway, I thought I'd just do a quick little, recap on different steering setups I've used and where I'm at right now. So we're going to start off here with Waffles. Waffles, it's kind of a mess. I had to rebuild the whole power steering bracket. You can see that down there. It's pretty nice. I am running my old power steering reservoir that was on the Sammy Mog. I put a different one in it. And that's actually like a Kenworth truck steering filter housing. And I've got that plumbed in. It actually runs through this cooler. Can't really see, it's behind the grill, but I do have a fan behind the grill to evacuate the heat out from underneath the hood, even though I run the rear radiator, but I run the steering cooler through there. So this is running a just a PSC, I believe it's off a Scout power steering box. Now it is ported. I could do hydro assist off of this as well, but so far I haven't needed to. I did replace all the knuckle studs with ARPs and clearance the shock mounts, so hopefully we don't have that issue again. That's my goal. But they were broken when I got it here. And so this setup works pretty good. It's not the most powerful thing in the world, but even with the 40s on, we haven't had any trouble with logs and trees and small rocks down the creek bed. And I've been over some decent sized rocks, but I haven't been over anything like really big yet to know how it's going to behave in that situation. These 40s that are on there are getting ready to come off. They would just see if they'd fit. I do have these 36s back here. Those will be going on for too long. So we're going to drop the tire size back down. I like the look of it on 40s, but it's probably too much on everything. And then I rebuilt the transfer case, long story, but I took the 6.5 out, put a 4.9 in it, and in hindsight, maybe I should have left the 6 in it, but anyway, it's what I did. I believe I have 5/38 in the axles, so that's the setup up here. This one does have an E-locker, so that makes it a little bit easier, but it is running a typical high steer setup, and like I said, so far no real issues with that. So I am running Royal Purple in this rig as well. I've just had good luck with it. Some people don't like it. That's okay. I know that it'll take a lot of heat and not foam. So anyway, but that's the setup. Like I said, it's just a V-belt drive on this one, and it will squeal every now and then, but it's not too bad. And I could probably retension if I wanted to, but it hasn't been an issue yet. And so sometimes it's best to leave good enough alone, I guess. It's kind of where I'm at with it. So that's that. That's Waffles. We'll take a minute. We'll walk around. I'll show you a little bit on the Sammy Mog, which is full hydraulic. Alright guys. So I got the hood opened up. If you notice, when I use these JK turnbuckle hood latches, and what's cool is I bought 2 sets, modified them up. I got a bracket mounted on the hood, bracket mounted on the roll cage, so the same pins will hold the windshield back is what holds it down. So it's kind of cool, no extra parts to keep up with or anything. There's a lot crammed under here. So I'll be walking around the camera in just a second, try to show you all this. But back in the day, I had manual steering, 31s, locked both ends, lock rights, on a Toyota or Samurai axles way back in the day, and I ran manual steering, and then I did I believe it's Toyota Cressada power steering setup on it. So like a late 70s, early 80s Toyota, you could cobble everything together, and that's what I had run on here for quite a while, and I didn't have a lot of trouble on that. But when I upgraded the axles and the suspension, I went to full hydro. And I started running a small PSC style pump with a V-belt, call it like a sweet pulley on it. I don't even know where that's at now. But anyway, put all that in here. I had crazy foaming issues, but I was trying to run just hydraulic fluid, and I had nothing but trouble. So finally I swapped over to the Royal Purple, took care of a lot of the issues, and I'd also incorporated that big reservoir to try to more coolant retention. So what I've got going on here, I've got a little plastic Jazz 1 quart, maybe it's a quart and a half, whatever, reservoir mounted over here. The power steering pump's over here. I did have to change the serpentine pulley on it because the pump speed wasn't high enough with the engine swap. I just don't rev it very much. So when I did that, I also had to, I upgraded the steering ram. I am running a single active on this, single action, not double. It's just the way we built it. And I haven't had any trouble with it. I got no complaints. This is my second rig with a single-ended ram. I get the benefits of the other, but what's cool on this is 2 pins. I can swap this ram out, like literally pull 2 cotter keys and I can pop this ram off. I have 2 spares. One's up here. I got a 2-inch up here. I got a 3-inch on the other side of the shop, and I'm currently running a 2.5. So the 2-inch wasn't powerful enough when I went to the 43s. It just wasn't having it. It seemed okay on the 36s, but didn't care for that. And so I went with a bigger ram. A 3-inch ram was great, but it's really slow. So you turn to the right and start back to the left, and it wouldn't keep up at high-speed steering. It's not really a high-speed rig, but you couldn't crank it lock to lock fast enough, right? So I'm running a 2.5. I think if there's like a 2 5/8, that would be the sweet spot. This one's a hair touchy at times. You get really used to it. I mean, I run a spinner knob on my steering wheel. There is absolutely no feedback from the steering. So that's good, that's bad. You don't have to worry about breaking your thumbs off, but you get literally no feedback. Like, you can feel you've got there, you can hear the tone change. So I have blown one pump up before. Well, I didn't blow it up, buddy of mine was driving it. We were hot lapping in the snow pretty aggressive, and actually pushed one of the like mill port BBs, whatever you want to call them, for like where they ported it. We actually shoved that out, and so blew it out. He held it full lock too long. So if I go full lock, I'm going to hold it. I come off about a half a turn on the wheel, and that takes care of all that issue, lets it bypass, right? So if you're going to go full hydraulic, this guy Fluid Dynamics, Matt, he's really good at this, and I'll be running his stuff on my next build. He helped me get set up with this new PSC bump. I bought it through him. We redid a few things, and we went back together, and it's been a lot better. So my biggest limitation, I have a really short orbital valve, and I have no room. So it is actually mounted through my shock tower. Sounds kind of crazy. And I have a rubber like spacer in the back of it because the radiator is right there too. Now, technically they don't touch, but steel orbital valve against a aluminum radiator, I know which one's going to win. So I just wanted to put a little buffer in there, and I'll show you that too. So anyway, I've been real happy with this steering setup. Would I drive it on the road? I have. I'm not really scared to. I like it. I would say you got to get a feel for it, right? Different setups are going to work different ways, I'm sure. There's a lot of variations. I went through a lot of variations before I found a setup I was pretty happy with. So the biggest advice I got for you is keep everything cool. And on this setup, all my fluids are separate circuits, so that like the power steering cooler is like a forklift stack plate set up with a spall fan. It's under my driver's seat blowing out. The floorboard's actually removed, and it blows out. The radiator itself is this Griffin dual core 2.5-inch pass, single circuit. I got a pair of spall fans mounted on it too with the shroud. So I had to get up something for the power steering. So under this fender right here are a pair of inline heat sinks. So I've got two 16-inch heat sinks. The flow-through one's under here. And that gets direct airflow when we're moving right here. Fans blowing, air moving. I haven't had any issues with it. I'll just put it that way. Like, we've been out on some pretty slow trail rides and whatnot. It hasn't overheated on me. I haven't felt that steering fade, and I haven't had any like puke back. So I'm pretty happy. That's all working. My lines are really long. They run down the frame rail and then arc down onto the the 1-link pivot and then run back up and through. You can actually see them down here where they come in. Now, I've thought about doing hydraulic quick couplings so I could actually change that ram out, because there are situations where I'd like that faster ram on there. But anyway, I never went that far. I'm not really that worried about it. Like I said, I'm not having trouble. I'm used to it. If somewhere else would be driving, it'd be a learning curve for them too. Don't laugh at my winch. We used it last weekend to rip some trees out, and it looks like we had a little trouble getting the chafe guard line back up. Anyway, that's just a chunk of fire hose. We'll get that straightened out. While we're on the subject though, different steering setups. A lot of guys are going to the electric power steering on the Suzukis, the Trackers, Samurais, whatnot. It's probably pretty sweet. I imagine it is. I run the electric power steering on my Razor. It's great. Like, I have overheated that a couple times, but it's really nice. I like it. And so there's a lot of advantages, a lot of routes to go. Just do your homework, and whatever your skill level is, what you feel like building, that would be my recommendation on that. So we'll do a little walk around here, show you kind of how this is plumbed and ran. It's pretty tight, so I will do my best to get clear shots of everything. But yeah, it's just a lot going on under here. Believe it or not, this structure, the whole front clip is one piece, kind of drops in, pins through, bolts through the roll cage. It's all welded seam, and it's all one piece. So when you unbolt it, like, this whole thing lifts and pivots out, so you can get to everything if you had to pull the engine. I hope I don't ever have to do it, because it is going to be some work, right? But I didn't want to be a situation where I had to take a Sawzall to the tube structure to be able to pull the engine out if I needed to. There's relatively no miles on this engine. I think it's like 30,000 miles when I put it in here, and she ain't seen 1,000 since. So, pretty low mileage. I run dual oil filters, remote mounted, everything I can do, get all the fluid capacities as high as I can get them. And there's probably better ways to go about it, but the more fluid, the more heat, the more dissipation time, it can't hurt, is kind of where I'm at. Again, like I said, probably, properly sized, everything would be better, but there's no replacement for displacement, and that's in a lot of categories. So if you can get more fluid, it's more circulation time, it should help with the heat. I have not had any trouble with this on that part. So yeah, let me get the camera down and we'll do a little walk around. Alright guys, when you think quality, you think WEN, W-E-N. I'll tell you what, that is right there off of Amazon. Those are about 60, 70 bucks a piece. And she's taking some hits, but she's still there. And there's where you pull that pin out of the back, pull that pin right there, and that whole ram will lift right off. It's really pretty simple. Now here's where things start to get a little tight. Let me get a flashlight. So that's my orbital valve. If you can see that right there. So it's pretty tight up in there. See where it mounts through. Still running the steering shaft. It clears my headers. Everything runs in there. Got that mounted up nice and tight. It was kind of interesting getting all that figured out. And then there's my, oh, it's down in there. You'll have to trust me. There's my steering pump. So she's tucked down in there. It can be changed without pulling stuff out. Again, I did it once. I don't want to do it again, but it can be done. And if you look up in here, let me get the light. So you can see the fronts of those two coolers. Now my horn's also in there and some relays for stuff. My ECM's underneath that fender over there. Again, a lot of stuff in a tight spot. So that's kind of my take on the steering setup. If you got any questions, let me know. Get my heater core bypass there. But anyway, that's where we're at. Oh girl actually has a window squirter and everything, man. We got everything. So that's it. That's all I got for steering, guys. Hopefully it helps, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a good week.